Fellow Kenyans, desperate times, they say, call for desperate solutions or measures. And therefore, countrymen, today I engage you and try to show you, and if need be, to convince you that we ought, and in fact we must, and we should postpone the 2022 elections. This is a serious thing to do, but if we don't have a national conversation around the problems facing this country, within the context of our politics, and specifically whether it will be really prudent to hold elections in 2022 amidst the challenges we are facing, this is the question. To hold elections in 2022 or not to hold elections in 2022. In order to understand what I'm trying to get at, let's look at the challenges facing this country. There are two challenges we face in this country. If we do not address by 2022 or even earlier, we may not have Kenya as we know it. This country could have crashed by then. The two problems are, one, the economic decline, if I might be very soft, really is the collapse of the economy. This country is doing so badly in matters of economy, in the cost of living, and in hope for young people, that it is not sustainable. You cannot have an army made of millions of educated young men without jobs. And of those who have jobs, earning monies cannot even put food on the table. You cannot have a country where over 50% go to bed hungry, living below the World Bank $1 a day, 100 shillings a day. You can't have the unemployment rates we have. You can't have the cost of things the way they are. You can't have petrol being increased whimsically and say you have a country. Worse, in the latest statement from government through the Treasury, presenting the budget 2022, the grim picture emerges. You have a country trying to raise, through taxes, 1.7 trillion shillings. The same country requires about 1.2 trillion to service debts, leaving you with 600 billion, which is barely enough for the national expenditure, recurrent, not even development. Just paying salaries and allowances. You don't have the 15% to counties, let alone 35%. It is not sustainable. We are going down. And people, I'm talking to leaders, in your obsession to become things in 2022, you do not see that this country is hurtling towards destruction. The people of this country will not allow you to live in Muthaiga, Lavington, Karen, Runda. And you see the way these things work, I've said before. Next to Langata and Karen, we have slums, Kibera. Next to Mathare, we have Runda, Muthaiga. Next to Loresho. What do you have? For every one of you big people, there are hundreds of poor people going hungry. We must stop and begin to engage as Kenyans and ask ourselves, what can we do to repair the economy? That's priority. What do we do to repair the economy? We must stop and ask ourselves, these hungry people will eat you people. And in the context of the heated politics, this is not possible. The second challenge we face is a coronavirus challenge. COVID-19 is with us. The third wave shows us this thing can get ugly. And therefore, I beseech fellow Kenyans, countrymen, let us postpone the 2022 election and concentrate on trying to do something about our economy, giving attention to this disease that can ravage us to nothing, so that you want to be president in 2022, but the people may not be there in 2022. You want to be an MP, but your constituency may not have anybody. This thing is not even sparing the leaders. Look at the ugly situation in the country. By admission of government and other experts, there's no hospital bed now. There are no ICU beds. This thing is real. We don't know how this third wave will go. Neither are we sure about the fourth wave, if any, and how it would be. So I'm saying we stop politics. Politicians are super spreaders. Even when Uhuru bans the rallies, the politicians will still walk by to greet people. They will still go to funerals. And when people see a helicopter landing, the whole village will go there. The politicians will go to church. And when word goes around, Ruto is coming to church, Raila is coming to church, the whole village will rush there. So the politicians are super spreaders. So for that reason, in order to show their attention, to give attention to this disease, we want to call off elections. And unless you cancel the 2022 elections, which is preoccupying people to the extent they have no space left in the head, if they had any brains, to attend to these two challenges. Once you remove that thing, once you remove 2022 from the picture, people will think clearly. Our leaders will begin to see the suffering of Kenyans and not the 2022 election. Secondly, a lot of stealing that is going on in this country today. We know this. We've been around for a while. We see what happened in the sugar sector, in the maize sector. 2 years before an election, there's so much stealing that occasioned the farmers a lot of pain. So the stealing that's going on, if you saw what happened in Kemsa, and the drama we are being treated to by parliamentarians, most of this stealing is to make money for 2022. So if we stop this election, the stealing will go down. And the money that is being stolen will go to improve our health care system, to cater for the welfare of our workers in the hospitals, the doctors, the nurses, the clinicians, pathologists, and every one of them. Because we need to take care of these people. And why am I saying this? And from the deep inside me, if yesterday, the last 24 hours, we lost 28 people, I want to ask Kenyans, before you begin saying Manyora is mad today, ask yourself, if you live in this country, if we lost 500 people per day, would we be having Kenya? Will we be having Kenya as a country? Will you find a doctor in the hospital? It's bad to say this, I've said it before. Do you think our healthcare workers will go to Kenyatta Hospital when they begin 200 people die in Kenyatta Hospital per day? You'll find nobody there because we don't even pay them well. So what I'm saying, let's focus on this thing. Let's create attention on this thing. Let's get money that's being stolen directed at the healthcare system, for example. So we postpone this election. Once we postpone the election, the attention goes to the economy. The attention goes to fixing the healthcare system. And I know people will ask the technical aspect, how do we do it? Law is made by man for man, not man for law. We will look at our constitution and see how we can innovate, how we can do it in such a way that there's a new constitutional provision that allows Uhuru, for example, to form a broad-based government for 2 or 3 years before the next election in 2023, 2024, whatever the situation may be. It may even be as simple as Parliament enacting a referendum law that makes a referendum a simple process. Because You see, we want to make a referendum be like a general election. We spend so much in terms of billions. I agree with Raila. This can be a simple thing. We can do it through delegate system, that the people nominate delegates, elect delegates at the lower level, who then agree on a provision that is before the country. Do we enact it or we don't enact it? Do we change this law? We don't change it. We can also vote electronically because it is not a competition for power. So people will accept the electronic vote. To make it simple, and through that referendum, we can then make it possible to have a law that allows us, beyond the provisions of 58, Article 58, that allows us to postpone elections in times like this. Because in any case, even if we don't do it, we could get there when we can't do it anyway. So I'm asking Kenyans, think, innovate, find a way. In fact, another possibility is to let this bill go through, the referendum bill go quickly, and because there are certain salient things that have not been said, like the implementation date, we could now, when we get to the schedule of implementation, say the BBI referendum is implemented immediately, so that we have Uhuru remaining president, maybe Raila being prime minister because ODM is the second largest party, people like Kalonzo Musyoka, Musalia Mudavadi, Ali Hassan Joho, Oparanya, and all these people we call our leaders. They are our leaders because those are the ones I can see around. They get into this broad-based government and we give all our attention, this time, not on 2022, not on politics, but on how to make Kenyans navigate through these hard times. Do not let Kenyans spill into the streets, because they will. They will spill into the streets. Don't let that happen. Let us engage as Kenyans, postpone this election, find the law to allow us to do it, innovate. We are very senior lawyers. Kina Orengo should sit down. They sat down in Serena. They came up with the national accord. The constitution then was much easier. They put that in the Kenyan constitution directly as it was, creating the prime minister's position. We did wonderfully well. We did a lot of things in this country. Orengo and the rest should be able to sit down and come up with a way of allowing us legally, constitutionally, by looking into the constitution. Because law is meant for man. Look into the constitution, look at this referendum. Can we pass it and say it is implemented immediately? Whatever we can do to ensure that we save ourselves from what I can see as imminent destruction as a country. Do not rush to this thing of 2022. Deal with the corona and deal with the economy, not with 2022. And if 2022 is still on the cards, I can assure you, national energy is directed at nothing but 2022. All the scheming, all the conspiracies, all the backstabbings, everything, all our efforts from the politicians to the national intelligence services to everybody, all our national energies are focused on 2022 and BBI. Let me tell you, fellow Kenyans, countrymen, listen to me. Remove 2022 from the picture. Direct all that energy on saving Kenyans from total collapse by way of this disease and by way of an economy that could destroy this country. Think about this. Don't think about it in terms of politics. Look at it as survival for this country and have a conversation around postponing the 2022 election.